Well, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks everyone for being here. Sorry we're running a little late today, getting started, but it's hard to believe that Monday marked the 6 months since COVID-19 hit Missouri. Since that time, we have worked nonstop to combat the virus and keep Missourians safe as possible. Over the next several weeks, our office will be highlighting the tremendous amount of work that has been accomplished over the last 6 months, from supporting education, child care, and Missouri families, protecting public safety and at-risk populations, to our healthcare system, economy, and our 4 essential pillars, and more. I want to thank my administration, the cabinet members, and all Missourians for working so hard to do your part and get us where we are today. We have come a long way since March, and we are making progress, and we must keep up our efforts. As you know, violent crime continues to be a big concern. Violent crime has been a problem in our state long before COVID-19, and we have seen it escalate even more in recent months, specifically in our big cities. As of yesterday, there have been 191 homicides in St. Louis so far this year. This is more than all of 2018 and is very close to surpassing all of 2019. In Kansas City, there has been 138 homicides so far in 2020, compared to 104 at this time last year. This is unacceptable, and we must hold violent criminals accountable for their actions. Since I became governor, my administration has been working to address this issue. We have worked with the African American community, the clergies, civic and community leaders, law enforcement, and mayors across the state to develop a solution. We have also partnered with law enforcement at the federal, state, and local levels to combat violent crime, most recently with Operation Legend in Kansas City. Last week, U.S. Attorney Tim Gerritsen announced that 355 arrests have been made by local and federal law enforcement officers in Operation Legend, including 33 murder suspects. And today, we announced a $1 million grant to the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis to extend and expand the Servicing Our Streets initiative, which focuses on gun violence, de-escalation, and providing resources to crime victims. In July, I called for a special session focusing on violent crime in Missouri. Last week, the Senate passed 2 pieces of legislation that will help support our law enforcement officers across our state in combating violent crime. House Bill 46, Police Residency, removes the residency requirement for public safety employees in the city of St. Louis. The St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department is currently down by more than 140 officers, and this legislation can help fill that gap. And I want to thank Representative Don Hicks and Senator Doug Libla for getting this passed. The Senate also passed House Bill 66, which creates a pretrial witness protection fund in which law enforcement agencies can provide resources for the security of victims, witnesses, and their immediate families. And I want to thank Representative John Patterson and State Senator Tony Luetkemeyer for getting this legislation passed to help prevent violent crime. We are encouraged by this progress, and we will continue working together to fight violent crime, achieve justice for victims, and to make our communities safer. On the education front, all of Missouri's public schools are back in session as of this week, whether that in person, online, or a hybrid model. We are in regular communications with Commissioner Van Dieven and DESE Dr. Williams and the Department of Health to monitor the situation across the state. Dr. Williams is not able to be here today. He and Commissioner Van Dieven are meeting with leaders of the Missouri schools and local public health agencies to assess COVID-19 mitigation strategies, state guidance for school masking, contact tracing, quarantine, and isolation. We want our kids in school, and we will continue to do everything we can to keep them safe, healthy, and moving forward. Our colleges and universities are also off to a good start. Last week, I had a conference call with the presidents of Missouri's public four-year universities to discuss the status of COVID-19 on college campuses. We received updates on the opening of the fall semester, COVID-19 mitigation and testing protocols, as well as new and future testing breakthroughs that may be utilized in the near future. We also discussed the continuing willingness for state officials to assist universities with the challenges of COVID-19, including testing, contact tracing, and identifying all available resources to ensure that higher education institutions continue to fulfill their missions. Additionally, in-depth discussion will be taking place between university presidents and state government to prepare for the potential deployment of new rapid testing options and other COVID-19 mitigation tools as they come available. As I discussed in the last week's briefing, we continue to see an increase in positive cases among college-age students, particularly 18 to 24-year-olds. We are closely monitoring the impact this is having on Missouri's overall case growth and positivity rate. We know there is a lot of concern right now regarding college students, but I want to assure you that our colleges and universities have plans in place, and we appreciate the hard work and leadership of our higher education administrators to keep their students and communities as safe as possible. This week, we were traveling to several meetings and events across the state. Yesterday, I met with Gamma Healthcare and Three Rivers College in Poplar Bluff. Earlier today, we traveled to St. Louis for a meeting on the Safer Streets Initiative. Tomorrow, we will be visiting veterans' homes and correction facilities. Again, I want to remind everyone, especially our young people, that COVID-19 is still here. And while you may not think you are at risk personally, you could be putting those around you at risk. This is why it is so important that we all continue to social distance. The most important thing we can do is social distance. Wear a mask and wash your hands. I have said this almost every day for 6 months. It was important then and is important now. And we must keep up the efforts as we move forward. Thank you, and God bless. Kelly?
Hey, Governor. So the Boone County's had one of the highest per capita increases in cases in the country over the last 2 weeks. What's the state doing to support Boone County and the university? And did the university reach out about using WashU's saliva-based test?
Yeah, we're in constant communication with the university presidents. Just like Friday, we had a conference call with them. President Smart's doing a great job down there at Missouri State University. I mean, Greene County is well familiar with the situation. And I think, again, you have to look at the positive rate, that how high that is between those 18 to 24-year-olds and what things they have in place to deal with that. And most of the universities are doing an excellent job understanding the situation. They were prepared for that when these positive cases come, and they're going to continue to be there at this point. I think it was either on September the 3rd, I believe it was, I'm not sure the date on this, but half the tests that were done in the state that were positive was 18 to 24-year-olds. And that's that fastest growing population we have right now.
Hi, Governor. So the White House Coronavirus Task Force has put out some new guidelines for Missouri saying the state should have a statewide mask mandate, and for bars and red zones, they should close down and reduce capacity to 25% What are your thoughts on the White House's recommendations?
Well, I think number one, the report you're making is weeks old. The new guidelines that are not calling for a statewide mandate. They just come out with that a couple of days ago. I think that's why when you're always trying to report and you're going back there 3 weeks to what the White House said is what you're talking about. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'm not sure how far it was back. But the reality of that changes every day. They just come out with one on the September the 6th. It's not requiring a statewide mandate. So again, I would just say one of the things I think is so crucial is that you get correct information out to the public dealing with the virus. This stuff changes daily, and if you're not looking at the CDC guidelines, if you're not looking at the information comes out every day, you're not giving the public accurate information. But that came out a day or so ago, so I would assume you guys have it by now.
On the special session, the House still hasn't taken any action on concurrent jurisdiction. Are you urging them to do that, or do you feel that the legislature has done enough?
No, I mean, we're doing everything we can to fight violent crime. That was an issue I thought was important to give us another tool. I haven't spoke to House leadership since the Senate passed that. I'm not sure what their plans are at this point, but again, we're encouraging to pass this to be able to give law enforcement the tools they need to fight. I'm not sure what they'll do. Again, we'll have a meeting with them to discuss that.
Governor Parson, last week, President Donald Trump said about voting, not only should you mail-in vote, but you should also go and vote in person. You should test the local voting polls to make sure that your vote counts twice. Are you recommending that Missourians do the same thing if they vote in person? If they do a mail-in ballot, should they also go in person?
Yeah, look, we've got a pretty good structure in place here in Missouri. I trust the Secretary of State's office, what they've been doing and what they continue to do. We've had 2 elections already that we've been through. We know both of them have been very successful in the heart of COVID-19. We're going to continue moving on with what guidelines we have in the state, and we're going to move forward with what we do here in Missouri.
All right, 2 more questions. Andrew, Ron.
Following up to a previous reporter asking you about the White House Coronavirus Task Force report, that was dated August 30th. It was made public just this past weekend, asking for a mask mandate and reducing bar capacity. We just had a huge, busy weekend at the Lake of the Ozarks. The mayor down in Lake Ozarks said 10 million people have made their way to the lake. There's never been any sort of restrictions down at the Lake of the Ozarks. Does that concern you at all, or why wasn't any restriction put into place after the report given on the 30th?
Yeah, I think we're telling everybody, I just said that in the briefing a while ago, we're telling everybody, social distance, wear a mask, do personal hygiene, keep your hands clean, and to continue doing that. We've said that for day one. Again, what we're referring to the White House that you're going back to was just recently done on the 6th. And I assume you have that information. That data is not there, what you're saying. So, I mean, again, all I'm saying is just make sure we're getting correct, that the people out there have correct information every day, of what we're doing. And we're trying to do that. But it changes all the time, constantly. I've been trying to say that for 6 months since we deal with this. It just changes on almost a daily basis.
Yes, Governor, 2-part question. The $1 million that you announced for the Urban League for the de-escalation program, what will that money be used for? Some specifics, if you would. And I looked at the testing, getting to the COVID issue. It looks like 8 of the last 10 days, if I'm reading it right, the testing is below 10,000. Are you happy with the way the testing is going?
Well, let me go back to the $1 million question, I guess. That would be, is we worked on that in 2019. Actually, that all started with Better Family Life in St. Louis with James Clark, really going to the streets, figuring out how we were going to fight violent crime. One of the things that we really realized out of a lot of the visits I went to St. Louis at that time was we were going to have to figure out how you get boots on the ground and how are you going to get the people in their own communities to be out there to help de-escalate the crime situation up there. And really, that's a lot from those times when we did the meetings with Better Family Life, when we were up there on the Grill for Glory, when we were up there meeting with some of the leaders on Martin Luther King Boulevard up there, and really finding out really what the obstacles were for trying to give people the opportunity to be successful. So what we're really trying to do is put people on the streets in those neighborhoods to deal with the situation there, to deal with the mental health issues, along the social services, multiple things they'll be doing out of that, and trying to de-escalate the crime situation. The reality of it is most of the people up there in those environments that James Clark we talked about, you know, if you get the right people out there in those neighborhoods, kind of know what's going on there, they go in there and they try to de-escalate before you do have homicides and stuff. So that's something we've been working on since 2019. We're glad to be able to present it today and give them the tools they need between them and the Urban League and FACTS and many of the people involved, but it's a good opportunity. Now, the second part of your question, let's go, because that was changing direction. Second part of the question was?
If I read it right, Governor, it looks like the testing, the COVID testing, 8 of the last 10 days, the testing is below 10,000. I think it was 13,000, 12,000, then 8 of the last 10 days below 10,000. Are you happy with the way the testing is going?
Well, I'm not sure the numbers that you're using there, but look, every day we're trying to pick up the testing capability in the state of Missouri. I think when you look at the rapid testing that we're trying to, proposals that are coming, I think with the Abbott testing that's coming on the federal level to some of the schools around the state, look, every day we're trying to do as much testing as we can to fight this virus, and I think that's critical. I think the two things that, again, I'm going to stress, early on back in April when we got the federal funding and we got it to the local levels, that money was to be spent on, you know, one of the priorities was testing and contact tracing. And we're seeing now how important this is. And one of the things we put it out there early, we wanted to make sure we were prepared for this school year. So I'm encouraging all, again, the county commissioners on those local levels to use that money for testing and contact tracing. I think it's crucial to keep these schools open and make things safe. But look, I don't know what the satisfactory amount of testing is because right now it's just a matter for me is doing more and more and more until we just keep utilizing those resources to protect people in the state. All right, thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you.